Hey everybody, welcome back. I know it's been a long time since I posted a video, but I'm back and I got some things to say. So let's get right into it. I wanted to follow up my last video by just basically talking about my reaction and just how I process being diagnosed with myasthenia. Okay, so I guess the best way to do it would be to set the scene. I had just went to the neurologist office after basing on this whirlwind of doctor's appointments, just really trying to figure out what was going on with me. And when I got the news, so when the doctor said he knew what it was and he told me, I guess I just took it in. He said it rather matter-of-factly. Oh, I know what this is. This is myasthenia gravis. And I wasn't familiar with it. I had never heard of it, but he was just like, yeah, I'm going to give you these pills and there's no cure for it, but this is what I can do for you. And he sent me on my way. I did ask him to write it down because I couldn't pronounce it. I couldn't remember it, but I went on my way. And so leaving from the doctor's office, well, let me rewind. In the actual doctor's office, I guess the first thing I felt was a tinge of relief. And I say relief because I've been on this journey to figure out what the freak was wrong with me, and nobody knew, and it was doctor's appointments, and it was scans, and it was tests, and it was all this stuff going on. So finally I have an answer of what the heck is going on with me. I have a name to it. I can pinpoint it. Fine. But then on the flip side of that, when you find out that, hey, there's no cure for it, and all these symptoms that you've been feeling for the past couple of months aren't going to go away, it's disheartening. So let me go back to my story. Anywho, as soon as I left the doctor's office, of course, the first person I called was my mom. And so I gave her the name, I spelled it for her, and I just let her do it. And then I came home, and of course, I, like any other person in the 20th century, are we in the 20th century or the 21st? Whatever century this is, I Googled. And Google, God bless, it is so helpful. It is a wonderful resource, but WebMD and just the wealth of information, especially in terms of health, it's like a rabbit hole. And I was Alice, okay? I looked at every just worst case scenario, any and everything bad that came from or around myasthenia I had stumbled across, and I freaked myself out. So my relief quickly went to fear and panic and overwhelmedness. I don't even know if that's the word, overwhelmedness. I was overwhelmed by just this new reality that I had to face. So I guess to sum it up in one word would be fear. Fear of, what does this mean for my quality of life? What's coming next? How fast am I going to degenerate? That's the word I want to say. How fast am I going to decline? Am I going to have to, stop working? Will I be able to drive? Will I be able to cook for myself? Will I be able to bathe? Am I going to have to spend long stints in the hospital? Like, basically my head was spinning, and it was just so much happening over top of me just not feeling well. My symptoms were getting worse and worse and worse. And it could have just been the stress of everything that was going on with me, from the doctor's appointments and from the symptoms and from being afraid. All those things compounded just made my symptoms even worse. So, as the days turned into weeks, and I can say for a bit that I think I might have even experienced a bit of denial. Like, I acknowledged that I had the disease. I started taking the medications and things like that. But as far as me really accepting it, it was a long time before I actually accepted that I had myasthenia and what that meant for me. So, for the first couple of months, I was still full speed ahead in my normal social life, doing things that I had no business doing. But I was just so determined that I wasn't going to let this stop me, and I wasn't going to let this, dictate how I ran my life, and I wasn't going to, stop doing me, that I ended up probably causing more harm to myself than good. So then after, having monthly hospital trips and feeling just horribly, 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 I finally had to come to terms with the fact that, okay, this is real. And the sooner that I learn how to adjust and figure out, you know, what my body needs and listening to my body, the better off I'll be. So then once I did kind of, you know, say, all right, well, I'm out of the denial. This is what it is. I have it. I became angry. I was very angry. I think that, you know, I told one of my friends one time in a conversation, because I really didn't talk much to anyone, friends, family. I kind of just said it and just moved on the way. I didn't talk about how I felt about it or anything, just because number one, I guess because I was in denial, didn't want to accept it. But number two, I hadn't processed it, so I didn't know how I really felt about it. So it was best just to keep it tucked in. So I was holding all of this in, and I got really angry. I was angry at myself, you know, the whole why me thing, and oh, this is horrible, and woe is me, and I was angry at God. I was like, oh, I remember telling my friend, as I was saying before, I remember telling my friend on the phone one day, I was like, you know, people say things that are trying to be helpful, but they're not really helpful, especially when something's happening to you of severe magnitude. So she was saying, just pray, and I was like, I don't want to pray. I thought I didn't want to pray. I said, God knows what's happening. He knows what's going on with me. And if he wanted to cure me, if he wanted to take this all away, he would. So I'm angry with him. And that was a real statement. And I was angry with God. I was angry with myself. I hated my body. I was like, oh, I hate my jeans. I was just in a bad place. So then from anger, I moved more into like a sadness and a depression, because I literally just stopped doing everything. The only thing I did was go to work, take my medicine, come home, and go to sleep. That was the hole that I dug myself in. And I was probably there for the greater part of a year or so, just depressed, just like, oh, this is horrible, and I can't do this, and I can't do that. And I locked myself away. I stopped talking to people. Again, I didn't really share. I didn't talk to people. I just, you know, would say, no, I don't want to go here. No, I don't want to go there. My friends, they would try to invite me out places, but, you know, just the anxiety of, you know, getting dressed and having energy and, oh, am I going to feel well? And I don't want to bring other people down. And I don't want to have a symptom or a flare-up or a crisis in front of all these other people. Like, that was just exhausting. And I just really wasn't in the place to deal. So the easiest thing for me to do was to bury myself in the house, because this was a safe place. Here in the house, I could, you know, be sad, and I could be in the dark, and I could shut myself away from the world. And shutting myself away from the world in this little cocoon, it allowed me to ignore that there was a whole life that I was not living anymore, because I had myasthenia. So basically, I allowed myasthenia to win for a certain period of time, because I just had given up. And I was like, this is what it is. This is my new life. And I just go to work as long as I can, and I come home and I do it all over again. And I take my medicine in between. So I think right around the 1 year mark of me getting diagnosed, I decided to write a letter to my myasthenia, basically our 1 year anniversary. And I published it on my blog. And there was something so freeing about putting into words all the feelings that I felt over the past year that made me feel just a little bit better. So I continued to write, and I continued to share, and I continued to express myself. And the more I got it out, how I felt, and the more I talked it out, and the more I wrote about what was going on, how I was feeling, and my thoughts, I started to feel better. I started to heal a little bit more. And so now, fast forward later, because, you know, as you know, I have a blog, and I've blogged about my journey and different things. And I basically decided to use this as a platform to help other people, because having a rare autoimmune disease is scary, because it's rare, number one. So it's not like breast cancer where you can Google it and you find walks and races and just a wealth of information. And, you know, there are so many people that have it, and there are all these, you know, resources. So it's not. So I took it upon myself to make a wealth of information, like to put something out there, to maybe excuse me, the next person who gets diagnosed won't feel so alone. They won't have to do some of the things. Or even they could just read it and be like, girl, me too. Because I wish I had somebody to be like, girl, me too. Because it was very lonely and depressing. So that pretty much sums up my reaction from this isn't happening to, oh, this is really happening, to it's happening and I'm living with it. I'm dealing with it. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, because I will, as I said, be posting videos on a regular basis. Don't forget to check out the blog. Follow me on Instagram. There's a Facebook group. Let's connect, because I really want to get in touch with a lot more younger people, or I guess I'm not young anymore, early middle-aged people. I just really want to connect with people with myasthenia, women, men, younger people. I want us to share our stories, and I really want us to be able to relate to each other, because no one else knows except for us. All right, see you guys next time.